Come on along. Hey guys. So, I was going through my emails the other day, and up pops Miller Welders, and they're doing a thing about, I think the title is "Who Taught You to Weld?" And so here's my video. I'm going to do a "Who Taught Me to Weld" and submit it. Well, I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel anyways, so then I'll just copy a link to them. But I don't think I ever talked about this before. Who taught me to weld? I didn't touch a welder in high school. I was in shop and woods, printing, blueprint reading or drawing, all that stuff, graphic arts. And I didn't, after school I went to school for laser technology. That was big back in 1987, 88. And I thought I was going to do all that, but anyways, that was too much math, too much physics. I went through a year of school, and then one day we saw, I don't know, if my cousin and I and another guy from town here, we saw either an ad for a 9-week course of welding at the technical college north of here. And we signed up. I don't know what it took, what it cost. I don't remember anymore. It was a night course. We went 2 or 3 nights a week for 9 weeks, and we learned to gas weld, we learned to stick weld, and we never did learn to wire feed. It was just basic gas and stick, and old Mr. Bills was the teacher. And he was cool. He was quite the card. And then we got our first job right out of there, basically, my cousin and I, and he didn't stick with it, I did. And so there was I want to say an old timer, he was probably my age at that time, Jim, who trained me on the job, Beaticus Bob, and he's no longer with us either. And then I traveled on from job to job, and each job I kind of, and Elroy, you know who you are, damn good teacher, taught me a lot of stuff. And I moved on to that was basic parts welding and smaller stuff, and then I went into heavy fab. Down the road I worked for Nordberg, I don't know where they are nowadays, Seagrave, Drott. Each place I had basically another kind of tutor, you know. It was a challenge because you walked into a different place and they did things a little different. And doing work for the Army Corps of Engineers in a different place, that was all fab work. When I was 20 years old, I believe, that's when I had that job, and I welded 2 and 3 inch plate in heavy weld, and I love it to this day. That's my favorite type of welding, is flux core with 332, sub-arc, that kind of stuff. Okay, so at every place I'm getting at, every place, I tried not to come in with attitude. I came in with the desire to learn, and I learned from a lot of those guys, a lot of them. It wasn't my dad, it wasn't an uncle, it was the guys that I worked with, and it was so cool because I got such a blend in my background. I can straighten a girder with a torch and a piece of piano wire. I can hammer a plate flat. If it wasn't for that older generation back then, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. One guy that comes to mind the most is Weasel. Everybody had a nickname. My 2 favorites were Oscar and Weasel. And Weasel was a Vietnam vet. Crazy. He was off his noodle crazy. He wasn't afraid of nothing. And I guess, whatever, but that guy could weld. That guy could weld circles, and I learned as much as I could from that guy. I had a hunger, and I still have that today. And actually, I train other guys from time to time, my guys. It's been a great thing. I welded, oh, what is it, stick, pipe, which includes high pressure vessel certified. We were at one time. I was titanium, Inconel, all them weird flavors. But I hated being a piper. That was too meticulous. I was a carbon rat. So at any rate, that is where it started. I learned to weld from other people and other good people who took the time to teach. And I took the time to learn and honestly wanted to. So that's how I got my thing. And now I'm self-employed. I'm just about 50 and never been unemployed. Been a great deal. So there you are. That's where I learned to weld from the rest of the world. Hope you guys enjoy this. It's just a little bit of a take on what I'm doing. Really? Yeah. When you weld a lot, you talk to yourself a lot too. Where did I learn to weld? Well, I didn't learn from Dorothy. She didn't have the right safety shoes. She had the ruby red slippers. I didn't learn from the Scarecrow because he just would have burned up. And the Lion, he just wouldn't do it. The Tin Man, that's where I learned to weld. It was the Tin Man. Oh, I had all these things to say. Where did I learn to weld? Where did I learn to weld? Or who taught me how to weld? The tech school. The tech school was first. It was one semester in night classes, and I learned to gas weld first. Then we learned to stick weld. And the teacher was Mr. Bills in Antigo, Wisconsin. And from there, each job I went to, I got hired right away locally here, making parts for Drott and Case now. And Elroy taught me a lot. Then we went on to, basically what I'm trying to say is every place I've been at, I learned. And I learned from the guys that were there. Not always the correct way, but I learned from them guys. So it was the people in my environment that taught me how to weld. They gave me a chance. I didn't smart off. I wanted to learn, and that's what I did. I learned all the basics and then some. And each place I went, it was different. So sometimes I had heavy steel plate. One place was pipe. Another place was aluminum. TIG welding, a high pressure vessel certified. I worked on my own. Also back in my 20s, had a shop where I overlaid forging dies for a local company for a couple years with stellite. That was a treat, a special. And as I progressed, and then field work, dam gates. So I learned from the generation in front of me. That's who taught me how to weld. It's cool. And here you have me now. And now I teach welding when I can, to who wants to know. It's kind of strange. I was going to tell a bunch of stories and funny jokes, but I just don't have it. Yeah, I don't have it. I don't have it in me. My agenda is all wrong. I don't need to win anything. I don't need to be propped up there, out there in the line. Part of me does, but just passing on what I know. Wow. Cat's got my tongue. Talking about welding is bringing back a lot of memories. Wow. Me and Oscar used to hang out. We'd hang big platforms we made for one company. We worked together for years, and he'd show me how to straighten I-beams because he worked for a bridge company where they'd make the beams follow curves and caster and camber, and all with a torch and string and a piece of chalk. Bob Noss, he taught me a lot of stuff too. He was one of the first. Bob Noss. Long gone, but he told me how a tape measure worked. Sometimes you just had to twist it a little bit and you get the right dimension. Anyhow. Oh, man. Memories. North Dakota, working on dam gates. Building big iron, that was that was my most intriguing work. I love that part. Heavy weld, building dam gates, building lock and dam machinery. That was the funnest time I had. It was hard ass work, but I learned what UT inspectors were. I learned what quality assurance was, and how to pass welds. Man, I was just like a sponge, just soaking it all in. Did military parts, built fire trucks, cabs, doors, learned how to weld stainless steel. Big tanks we built. It's just incredible where I've been. And back in those days, a lot of times you had to jump from job to job because that particular market would be great guns for 2 years, and then all of a sudden this industry was better and over here, and had better benefits. And back then it was a competition. Manufacturing in the state was just incredible. The only time I was ever out of work is if I ever left a job or was never out of work, not as a welder. No, sir. You got to go to Japan and compete in a competition for Komatsu. They called it the Komatsu Technical Olympics. Myself and 2 other gentlemen from the United States went there, and that was a fun time. Interesting how they weld over there. It's different. Yeah, and the rest of it is just, man, it's just stirring the pot for me. Well, I hope you like it. that's what I got. I had all these grand ideas of what I was gonna tell you and get long-winded, and I'll have to piece this video together and see what comes of it. Hope you enjoy it. Take care.